Hi, this is Zach with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 11th of July. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which remains within that rising trend channel from October. The floor of the channel there, 81.60 now, and hoping for a break either through 81.60 on the downside or 82.50 and the 50-day line on the upside. At the moment, with the RSI on the right side of 50, but we have actually just been range bound, just about favouring the upside break up to June resistance 83.71, and that would hopefully then cement the move within that rising trend channel. If we do break down, worst case scenario at the moment is down to 8,000 and the floor of that red May falling trend channel. Next up is the DAX, which has been struggling with the floor of that rising trend channel from September for quite some time. The floor of the channel there at 18,300. We're looking for a long-awaited break of that May resistance line, 18,700 now. Take the market up to the top of that rising trend channel towards 20,000 as soon as the end of next month. Well, I presume that if that breaks, that line there from May breaks, then we would have a decent move. RSI bouncing just below neutral 50, which is interesting, and I suppose one would take that as being a reasonably strong leading indicator signal. Moving on to the Dow, and here the machinations above the 50-day line continue. It's quite impressive that we've been above that 50-day line now, even on dips since around the 18th of June. Looking for that break towards 40,000. Obviously, the S&P has gone to new record highs about 5,600. So it looks as though we'll get our retest of 40,000. Best case is that we're up to 42,000 by the end of next month. And ideally, we have no break back below 39,000 now, which is the floor of the channel. Moving on to Bitcoin, which has been the sickly child, as I've said on several occasions. Here, still stalling near the 200-day line. That's a big feature there, 58,700. If we can break through that, it would be up to the 50-day moving average, 64,700. But you can't quite rule out a final test of the March support line projection there at 53,000, and even the possibility of testing February support at 50,000. So not quite out of the woods, even though we've got bullish divergence, still stalling, in fact, near the old June support there around 58,000 as well, coinciding with the 200-day moving average. The situation at gold is next, and here looking rather more chipper in terms of the potential break of 2,400 and a retest of the highs at 2,400. Overall pictures, we're looking for as high as 2,600 on the top of that rising December trend channel by the end of next month, although that may be a little bit optimistic. On the downside, 2,340, the floor of that channel from December, and that's where we hope support will come in. RSI's bounced above neutral 50 just in recent days, so that is a positive for this market. Moving on to the stocks and starting off with Ananda. And here you can see that our initial target there around 0.5 has been achieved. The share's looking quite stable now above that level. Next target for the shares, the upper parallel of that red triangle, which is heading for as high as 0.73. And we're expecting that, or hoping for that, by the end of next month or even sooner. Golden cross here, unfilled gap to the upside, and gap close buy signal. So lots of positives there on the Ananda chart. Moving on to Bluejay, and here you can see the shares are trying to regroup after that spike that we had through 0.7 pence. The ideal scenario is that we get an end of day close above the 50-day line, that's 0.49, and it's worth waiting for that end of day close above the 50-day line, the 200-day line rather. The setup here is good in the sense we have an unfilled gap to the upside off the low, so that should keep the shares going, but just missing that end close above the big moving average. Target here, obviously a retest of the 0.7 plus area over the next 2 to 4 weeks. If we do break down, we don't want to see anything lower than June resistance 0.37 or at a stretch the 50-day line 0.35. Moving on to Graft Polymer, which today is up by the the percentage of 30% basically, and amazingly enough, I covered the shares yesterday on the basis that it looked as though, it smelled as though the shares were ready to go up. Neckline resistance there yesterday, or it was mentioned yesterday, around the 0.16 area. Above that, looking for up to the 50-day line, 0.35 over the next couple of weeks. Maybe the director share buying will help the cause there as well. Guild is next, and it's revitalized itself in recent days. Rising trend channel base, we're looking for 0.5 pence, perhaps as soon as the end of this month. The reason for the excitement is the way that we've got a sharply rising 50-day line there at 0.33, and the shares closed above that yesterday, so that is a technical plus point, as well as the RSI pushing through neutral 50 as well. Almost an RNS a day for golden metal, or rather guardian metal now, and here you can see that the shares quite comfortable at our previous target. We were looking for 24p, then 32p, and we're above that now. The next target here is as high as 43 pence, which we might get by the end of this month, given the acceleration in the news flow. Thought I'd look at Hemogenyx, because hasn't been mentioned for a long time. There's been no news here for a long time as well. What's interesting here is that over the last week or so, we've got all these blue candles. May not mean anything at all, but just looks like we've got a bit of a bear trap in there. A little bit of bullish divergence as well, and people who like to be early to things rather than catch the momentum might think that we've already hit a near-term low. If you're cautious, though, maybe wait for an end-of-day close above recent resistance, neckline resistance, 1.32 pence before targeting the top of that triangle at 1.57. As I said, just a sniff of a turnaround there, and we're overdue news, I think, with Hemo as well. On to Helium 1, which did us proud in terms of the rally from 0.5 pence to 1.5 pence. We're looking for 1.35. And I think everyone and their mother's claiming the credit for that turnaround. Current situation is that we bounced a 2-day bounce off the 50-day line there at 1.07 pence above that, looking for at least 1.5 pence and perhaps up to the April resistance, 1.75 pence. And that can happen as soon as the end of this month. The only thing missing, I suppose, is that we want to see that 50-day line turning up or curling up a bit more than it is at the moment. On to Incanthera, which I believe is one of the best performing stocks on the aquas market. So obviously Ananda, another one. Here we've hit. It's a bit like gold, a bit like Guardian Metal. We've hit the one of our initial targets around the 27 pence area. Now looking for up to 35 pence by the end of this month, which is the upper parallel of that rising trend channel from back in January. The shares were already classed as being the stock of the year, or a stock of the year, at 6 pence back in January. Moving on to Mosman, and here well, it's a delight to watch, I suppose. But we hit our previous target there at the top of that rising trend channel from April, above 0.07, maybe on an end of day or end of week close basis, looking for up to 0.85, and that could still happen by the end of this month. We were looking for the 0.63 area to come in as support, and so far today 0.6062 has done the trick, but want to see that 0.07 broken on a consistent basis. On to Optibiotix, which after a long period in the wilderness looks as though it's back. I think the spike there back in this time last year, maybe this is the time of the year, July, for the shares to rally. Initial target here up to 26 pence. After this break of the 50-day line, we haven't been above that at 17 pence since back in March, and it's a bear trap rebound from below May support at 17 pence. On to Renalytix, which is one of the most evil stocks to chart rather, in the recent past. It builds a base, looks like it's going to rally and then tanks again, but we've just got the chance now for people who haven't had their fingers burnt 20 times of a rising trend channel base. We've gapped off the low, which is one of our preferred signals, and while we remain above the floor of that channel at 11 pence, there's a chance of a move to 20 pence by the end of next month, or even sooner. Obviously these shares, when they move, they can move fast. Sovereign metals is next, where the market should have probably rewarded the shares rather more than they have already, with Rio upping its stake, but we have 37 pence as our initial target here after 28 pence was broken, and looking for the top of that rising trend channel from back in April 21 as high as 56 pence or 57 pence by the end of next month. The reason for being relatively bullish is that we've had a bear trap island reversal, massive gap to the upside, and a little V-shaped bull flag just at an end of day close above the 38 pence level should be enough to trigger a new move to the upside. Totally is next. It had a decent update today. Here We've had a bear trap rebound from below a sharply rising 50-day moving average at 7.4 pence. We already had the unfilled gap to the upside back in May, which is basically the starting gun on the rally. So looking for a minimum here of 11 pence at the top of that triangle there from basically back in September last year. Hopefully we'll get that over the next 2 to 4 weeks. Ideally, no breakback below the 200-day line at 6 pence as a maximum stop loss. Finishing off with Union Jack, which listened to the charting yesterday and is listening to the charting today as well. Unfilled gap off the low, which is, as I said earlier, one of our preferred signals. We've broken the gap up day there at 18 pence and looking for initially 21 pence, but actually now, given the follow through on the gap, up to 26 pence by the end of next month. Hoping for a similar move in July, August as we had back in April for the shares. That's it from me today. More updates tomorrow.